Good morning, students. So let's resume back with story The Treasure Within. In this story, we were reading about how Hafiz contractor he could get over his habit of not studying in school, and once the advice of principal, it brought so many changes in his attitude towards life and studies. And then he's talking about how he got admission in Jai Hind College, and he's saying that I had got admission to Jai Hind by influence. He's saying that I could get the college, but I could get it only by influence. And when we say that something we get by influence, it means by some pressure. So I thought, okay, I will take French. He's saying that he chose to study French in his college, and I started learning French again. I learned it from my cousin, and he's saying that I started learning French, and my cousin helped me to learn it, French. And my cousin, who was my cousin? She was an architect's wife. My cousin was an architect's wife. So I was going to an architect's office to learn French. So you can understand, since my cousin was an architect's wife, so every day I would go to her office to learn French. Every day I would go to an architect's office to learn French. Now, BR, was it then that you decided you wanted to do architecture? She said, okay, fine. So it was that office which made you decide to study architecture? Hafiz, actually, it all happened quite by chance. In the architect's office, I saw somebody drawing a window detail. A window detail is a very advanced drawing. He said that once I was there in the office and I saw a person was drawing a window detail. And a window detail actually is a very advanced kind of drawing. And I told him that his drawing was wrong and that the window he had drawn would not open. And I told this man that the window which you are drawing is not gonna open. He then had a bet with me, and later he found that indeed his drawing was wrong. This man had a bet with me, condition with me, and later he found that indeed, for sure, his drawing was wrong. Now my cousin's husband was very surprised. He asked me to draw a few specific things, which I immediately did. Then he asked me to design a house, and I designed a house. After that, he told me to drop everything and join architecture. And we went to meet the principal of the college, and this is how I ended up choosing architecture as a career. Now, the principal warned me, I will allow you to take part in the entrance exam, but if you do not do well, I will not allow you to join. Now, when I went to take admission in a college to study architecture, the principal said that, okay, fine, you can sit in the entrance exam. But if you do not do well in entrance exam, we will not give you admission. Now, I got an A plus in the entrance exam. And from that day, my life was a cakewalk. Now, what is a cakewalk? A cakewalk means something very easy to achieve. I had never made a plan, but I knew how something looked like from the top. He's saying that I never made a plan in life, but I always knew, since beginning, I always knew how something looked like from the top. I had never known what a section was, but I knew if you cut a plan, what it would look like. Actually, I did not know the intricacies of architecture, but I always had some inborn talent regarding that. I stood first class first throughout after all, and I got first class, in my studies, in architecture. And I believe that all this understanding came from what I used to play and do during school. And he's saying that my playing at school, it really helped me out to understand the basic facts of, this professional life. I had a friend called Behram Divecha. We used to have competition between us for designing forts, guns and ammunition. Okay, fine. He used to have all these drawings, and each of us would design something in an effort to be different. Like we would have a competition, and that competition gave me an edge over, him. In school, when I was in the second or third standard, one of my teachers, Mrs. Gupta, she saw my sketches one day and she told me, see, you are useless in everything else, but your sketches are good. So when you grow up, you become an architect. I did not know at the time, but she was right. Later, after I became an architect, I went back to meet her and tell her. Like I was so thankful to that lady to have recognized my talent years before. And that's why I went to meet her. Now, BR. Well, why do you think you did not like studies? Was it because you felt you could not cope or could not deal with the curriculum? She said, why did you dislike studies? Was it because you knew that you could not cope up? Cope up means you could not, just go with that, with the difficulty level of the syllabus. Now, Hafiz, I was very bad at languages, and science and geography I could deal with. Maths was very bad. I just was not interested. I was studying for the sake of studying. He's saying that actually I never understood these things, like, maths I could never, and it's just that I was studying because for the sake of my mother would send me school, so I would go. There was no interest. I just was not interested. I was studying for the sake of studying. What they taught me today, I would forget after 2 days. My problem was that I was a very forgetful person. I would not bother because there was no application of mind there to begin with. And why I was least interested? Because the mind was not involved in any of those tasks. The tasks were only mugging up, cramming things. And I was not interested in all those mindless things. Now the interviewer. Did you think what they taught you in school was boring, or did you feel that once you understood the concept of what was being taught, you lost interest? She said, do you think is it boring, like what you were being taught was boring? Now Hafiz, living in a boarding school is difficult. We were just living from day to day. Nowadays there are so many tests. Back then whenever we had tests, we used to just copy. The teacher thought that we had done our work because I would always copy in exam and my teacher would think that I am very good at studies, which was never true. But now BR, did you think what they okay, now BR, there is a contention that giftedness and learning disabilities go hand in hand. Do you think this applies to you? Now that interviewer asked a question. Contention means belief. Like there's a belief that gifted means to be extraordinary good in studies. So she's saying that extraordinary good and some disability, some problem in learning, it goes hand in hand. It means if a person is extreme intelligent, there will be some problem with him. So she's saying that it goes hand in hand. Do you think this applies to you? Now Hafiz, well, take some studies from my class. Those who always stood first or second are today doing very ordinary jobs. The toppers are doing very ordinary jobs. Now BR, I have come across this situation in so many different places where people tell me that their class toppers are doing very ordinary today. Actually, in our life, like, in my personal experience also, the toppers actually end up doing the most ordinary things in life. Now, Hafiz, in a school, I think living our lives there made us a street smart. I have learned more by doing what I did, during those play times, during those play periods, what academics would have taught me. Like academics would never have taught me all those things which I learned during my play periods. Alright everyone, we'll stop here. We'll continue in our next video.